If you feel it,
chase it.
I said if you feel it,
Chase it.
Twister's mac and cheese, next. When your weekend's all spin up and you got Monday coming down the pipe, sometimes all you need is a little comfort to get you through to Monday. Mac and Cheese Movies, where we believe in comfort food and comfort movies. Hello, welcome to Mac and Cheese Movies. I'm Scotty Coppage. And he loves shooting fireworks into a tornado, Joel Estes.
Hey, how's everybody going?
And he loves working for some shady land developers after tragedy, James Rumfeld.
Yeah, that checks out. Adds up.
And he just got done with a rodeo. It's Benjamin Rimmert. In honor of Twisters, we have Oklahoma onion burgers. I'm the GOAT, being the pickiest eater, but I always trust Joel. How did we make these bad boys? What do we got, Joel?
Basically, what the history of the Oklahoma onion burger is anyway. It came upon in the Great Depression, where times were hard, and it especially hit Oklahoma hard because everybody remembers, the Grapes of Wrath and all that other stuff. So it was what the diners did was try to stretch out stuff, try to stretch out the beef supply a little bit, and they got some really thinly sliced onion and put it down on top of it and smashed everything together to kind of stretch everything out. Turns out they're pretty damn good too.
The flavor profile in these burgers, it's just like when you go to the paint store and got the swatches of colors, that's what I feel like is like with these flavors.
There was a lot going on with it, and I didn't even. So
a little bit of this,
I'm like
bit of that.
super anti-onion, and so even mine was sans onions, and it was still awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man.
So-
That's a good burger, man.
Yeah, I think
5 out of 5 would eat that burger again.
Would
5 out of 5,
smash.
man.
Would smash again.
Nice. God. It's a movie podcast. I swear to God.
What's the MacGuffin? What's the most important thing when you're making these burgers?
Did you just say the MacGuffin?
Yeah.
The MacGuffin of
Which
the
is
burger.
my middle name.
Yeah.
Probably getting the right squishiness to it. I mean, because if you at home, whenever I was testing these things out, if you didn't get them nice and flat, they kind of like balled up and are really small, and then there was not enough bun to meat ratio, and everything. It just didn't look good, And
I just like the phrasing, like the right squishiness.
Yeah,
It reminds me of like.
that's why I got the
MacGuffin.
biggest freaking
MacGuffin.
spatula I possibly could, so I could get this thing, nice.
You remember
and
though
flat.
when you were like a kid with like kickball specifically, and you could like request your pitch? You'd be like fast, medium, bouncy. You would say so. That just sounded hilarious to me. It's like it's got to be the right squishy.
Mm-hmm.
These are real juicy burgers. The bread is like, the buns are, it's like falling apart. You have to kind of eat around stuff. You have to like be real strategic with your bites.
I think really what the key was is to let those suckers rest for a little bit. I mean, because whenever you guys were eating them today, they were basically
they're
fresh
hot,
off the grill.
yeah.
Everything's still moving. The juices are still flowing. Whenever I was finishing everything up, I let mine sit for about 10 minutes. And everything kind of like calmed down a little bit. It's kind of like whenever you're making a steak, whenever you pull it off, you want it to rest a little bit to let everything
You guys like your
redistribute.
steaks, Russ?
Simmer down now.
I'm joking.
Anyway, that's the concept. And I'll let mine just happen to sit there for 10 minutes, and it turned out perfect. And mine was not all over the place like y'all were saying it was. But normally I don't have that much patience whenever it comes to eating food quickly. So I was making the same mistakes everybody else was. But calm down. Take 10 minutes, chill out, and then have your burger. You're going to enjoy it.
That's just good
a lot,
advice in general.
Yeah,
Calm down,
absolutely, yeah.
chill out.
Calm down. Wait for your
just-
burger.
I
The
just
burger's
ate
gonna be
mine
fine.
super fast. I didn't have as much. I was like, I just went basic training style on it and just washed up to my elbows. It was fine.
According to the legends of IMDb, a retired tornado chaser and meteorologist is persuaded to return to Oklahoma to work with a new team and new technologies. This description makes it sound like it's going to be Bill Paxton, but psych, it's not. We have a whole new cast of storm chasers here, starring Glen Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, and Anthony Ramos. First taste for Twisters. First time you saw the movie, what did you think? What's your relationship to the Twister franchise? And what is the legacy of this movie going to be?
I'm a native Oklahoman, so while I was watching the original Twister and watching the sequel last night, I watched it from the veil of being from there, because I know what it's like. there was we're going to get into it later. There was a lot of crap I didn't enjoy, from that standpoint. But being as it was taking place in my own backyard, it rings for me. Like you see the bar owner dressed in head to toe OU and everything like that, and talking about, and it just, it reminds me of home.
Is this straight up Oklahoma, or did they do some shooting in Toronto, do you think?
No, they from what everything said online, everything was done in Oklahoma, and the soundstage stuff was actually done in Oklahoma City. And they also had Killers of the Flower Moon there going on at the same time, and there was another one. I forgot what was going on at the same soundstage, but yeah, I'm a native Okie, man, in this.
Fun fact: I applied to be an extra in Killer of the Flower, whatever that.
Did you really?
We know what we're talking about. I did. I didn't get called back, so I sent them my classic Ben Remmert headshot.
They're just like, no.
Like, do you know how to ride a horse? I was like, yep. I did not get a
how to
call
ride a
back.
horse?
Did not get a call back.
Damn. That would have been awesome. Yeah, my I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine. I thought it was mostly fine. I think there were a lot of we just saw it last night. I think there were a lot of things that seemed kind of obvious that they just kind of danced past, but it's a fun movie to go see for the summer.
It's definitely a summer movie.
Yeah.
We've had over 10 years of movies that start something kind of new with a younger cast, but it harkens back to like the past films and callbacks. And this movie does none of that. And I kind of like that it did that. I found that refreshing because none of these movies are doing that. And so we're not having to shoehorn this character popping up or giving us some backstory. Where are these guys from 1996? If the movie did, I mean, it wouldn't be bad, but I do like that they tried to do this. We saw the movie at our local Cinemark, opening night. I want a big, dumb summer blockbuster.
You got it.
And it doesn't need to be Hamlet. And I don't want it to set up some Twister trilogy or some TV show or some other bullshit. My number one thing I want is a showcase of Glen Powell. That's what I want.
Can we all agree on
That's
that?
we're all there.
Can we all agree on
One of
that?
our young up-and-coming movie stars. I want this to be a showcase for him. Do we get that? Hard to tell, because most of the movie is kind of a bummer and pretty serious. I mean, the first movie is like a fun playlist storm chasing ride. And here the stakes are a little bit, it's about saving people, shady contractors, trauma. I mean, this movie's pretty heavy. But I do ride for Glen Powell. Got season tickets for Glen Powell.
We were calling him Kmart McConaughey last night.
Kmart.
I wasn't calling him that. Don't put words in
Oh,
my
no,
mouth.
no.
He's
never
from
call him-
Austin,
Don't pull-
Texas,
He is
too,
from Austin,
which,
yeah.
which kind of makes it all come together. But my wife
I think Bill Paxton's from Dallas.
compared him,
I think.
was calling him McConaughey because she didn't
Yeah.
know this, so I started
Yeah.
calling him Kmart McConaughey.
Yeah.
He's kind of got the same thing going on, but yeah.
He's great. I don't.
Yeah,
We were
man.
talking about him earlier. I don't think he's gotten to.
He's a striking fella.
Do like it, yeah.
Pretty. He's a pretty guy.
Yeah.
Well, and I think he's a good
handsome
actor.
man.
I
Just
Yeah.
handsome man.
I don't think he's got to like carry a movie fully yet. I don't think Twisters was it.
He definitely didn't carry Twisters.
No,
that's for
and there
sure.
was a lot of stuff with Twisters where it just didn't. That part didn't work. Like we'll get to that part. Glen Powell's fine in the movie. He does a good job, but even his character, I kind of felt like he like abandoned his character at the point
Yeah.
where they're like going to hide in the pool. At some point in the movie, he just kind of becomes like a simp for Kate to me. Even though
What's scent mean?
I just mean like.
You're a
Sorry,
school
that's one of my.
teacher,
That's one of my.
Scotty.
Yeah, I thought maybe you would know from school, but
Yeah,
that's just a guy
up with
that's
the-
like.
He
Not up with the
flipped
lingo.
from, hey, I'm a YouTube star, look at me,
Yeah.
to like,
Woo!
at one point in his life, because he has meteorological background
Yeah.
or whatever, he did care.
Uh-huh.
And now he met this girl who actually really wants to help people and solve things. And he kind of flipped back to, it's not about this show I'm putting on YouTube. It's
Oh.
more of like, we could actually for real make a difference in whatever, disrupting tornadoes in this case or whatever.
Yeah,
The thing
and
maybe.
the thing that I didn't care for with his character specifically is like, he's this confident, like, self-assured person or whatever, right? And like, he's got a crew of people that ride with him, and they all make sense, whatever. And then, like, a week with Kate, and he's just like, well, whatever Kate says, like she probably knows.
Right.
The whole like she's this like storm sage in 2024. It's like I was saying that after we left, like there's a parking lot full of meteorologists with all this equipment and all this science, and she's like in a field with like a dandelion, and she's like, Kate knows where to go, and I'm like, all right, there's like a level for me.
Well, you also left your keys in the
I did
your
leave my
sunglasses
keys.
in the seat.
And
so-
I left my keys and my phone. When I came back in,
good
the guys were
instincts.
like, "Are you okay, sir?" I'm like, "Just get my damn keys. I'm sorry." And I know it's a summer movie. It's just supposed to be fun. I'm really not that guy. But to me, the visuals, like if you go see Transformers, right, and you're going there for a story, like
oh man,
miss me with it, like kiss
Michael
my ass.
Bay
It's
got that
giant fighting
camera
robots,
shake.
right?
Yeah.
But the visual spectacle of that is not the same as Twist. There was no like visual spectacle for me with Twisters. Like it was pretty good footage of a tornado, I guess. Like I don't know, there wasn't anything where I was like, oh my god.
I don't know how the '96 movie Twister visually
I don't either. I thought
was
about
better.
Because
From a tornado
a lot of
perspective.
that, a lot of that
than
stuff
this
was
one.
real. They were blowing up oil
Yeah.
tankers, and Jan de Bont screwed up the shot of that, so they had to bring in $500,000 and another oil tanker to blow up. Their stuff was on strings. It was freaking crazy.
James and I go back and forth a lot. We both do like visual things or whatever, and I think we're coming full circle at this point now where we look at a lot of older movies and they use practical effects because CGI just wasn't where it was at, and technology and all that where it is now. And we're coming back to, I actually appreciate practical effects a little bit more, like, oh, they really did the thing or whatever, versus like, we'll just scribble in a little CGI here or there or whatever it is. And I think overall for me, I agree with you, Scotty. Like my kind of like baseline of like good movie, bad movie, right, is like, was this entertaining for me? Yes, it was. Was it the best movie I've ever seen in my life? No, it wasn't. I thought Glen Powell killed it. Just a fun movie to see on the big screen during the summertime, man. I don't know, like that really sums it up, I think.
It was a good family flick too. I mean,
Yeah,
there
sure,
was
yeah.
no like
Yeah, we all took, like, our
grandiose sexualizations
Partners and wives and like
yeah.
that was the thing I was going to point out, like it's so like branded in me from like my age and whatever, but we talked about that a million times. Like every movie from our childhood, like there's going to be a sex scene. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter, right? There's like 8 points in Twisters where I'm like, okay, they're going to kiss, they're getting together, whatever it is. They don't even kiss. Even when he goes for, I don't want to spoil the ending, but like even at the ending, I'm like, okay, he kisses her now, right? Like you kiss the girl. He doesn't. They don't kiss.
Oh, you mean at the airport?
Yeah.
You're talking about Ramos that gets the girl? I'm just
No, he doesn't. And that was weird to me too. That was weird to me too. I was
He
telling
just like at some point was just like, he won and
Yeah.
I'm out.
It's like
I'm not
she's-
jealous anymore all of a sudden.
it's like when she gets hurt and they're like, look, him and Glen Powell are looking at each other, and it's like this weird like Gaston, whatever his little crony is, or Quasimodo, where it's like, even though that guy's really handsome, Ramos, but it's like Quasimodo's not going to get the girl, but he's still the hero of this story. You know what I mean? But you have to watch the girl that you love, but she's definitely going to get with Glen
Did you
Powell.
just
for sure.
combine the Beauty and the Beast and
Yeah, I did.
and
and Beauty-
Hunchback of
yeah,
Notre
yeah,
Dame?
yeah. Because I couldn't think of the little lackey in Beauty and the Beast. LeFou is his name. But
LeFou.
like, yeah, it was weird to put him in that space where these two guys are like kind of competing for this girl, but not really.
I don't know if it was my complete obliviousness to, whenever girls are dropping hints or people are interested with each other, because I have a chronic history with that. I had no idea that Javi guy was remotely interested in Kate.
into her.
I
as
had
well.
Oh, really?
I did not pick up on that whatsoever until
I
the
think
very end.
I think I kind of, yeah.
I totally glossed over on that because I figured it was like platonic.
I knew
was
as soon
cool.
as, so like at the beginning, he's like, come back. This thing happened. You work in New York, come back for 1 week, blah, blah. On the up and up, right? Mm-hmm. And then they chase one storm, and then is when they're going to the hotel, and all of the other storm chasers following Glen Powell's character. And he basically was like, hey, do you want to hang out or whatever? And she's like, no, I'm tired. I'm going into my room. That was like her.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah,
him basically
yeah.
shooting his shot.
I
Do
got
you want to
you.
hang out? Am I the
yeah,
only
right,
one?
yeah. And,
Like, have you guys,
rejected or whatever. Rejected.
Yeah,
have you guys all not like burned your life down 16 times
No,
because of a girl
just
at
you,
some
man.
point? Just me?
Just
Got
you,
it.
man.
Yeah, I just assume that's the
Scotty's
driving
like,
force in every film. 100%. That dude's not going to New York to look her back up.
Fun fact about Scotty: when there was a tornado,
Oh yeah.
Oh, you went.
I just heard that story recently. Actually,
This is
Yeah.
This is like when I was like 21, 22 years old. I was at this wedding reception, and you're trying to meet the girls on someone's wedding day. There's a party and everything. And
Gloves
then,
in the air.
There was someone came outside to say there were 60-mile-an-hour winds in Iowa Park, and I yelled out, "Who gives a shit?" And then it ended up being like the worst storm in Wichita Falls that year. And then it was like the power was out in some places in town, and we tried to go to the Iron Horse pub, which was obviously not open, and lights were out and flashing red. But we were 21 and thought that
Oh, dude.
let's do it, let's party,
You told me that story, and I was like, obviously that's what you
Yeah.
did. Why would you not do that? Yeah, I knew Javi was gaming from the jump, which is why it was even weirder that he stuck around to me. But whatever.
But he was also doing some shady shit
Yeah.
for the money.
I was about to say, man, that really got to me a little bit. As soon as they're like, "Oh, here's the new data sets," and they're underinsured, I was like, I literally leaned over to Sarah. I was like, "Oh, that's how they're paying for this whole thing." Well, because he starts off with I went to the military. That's how lost I was after the F5 or whatever. And I'm like, all right. And then he's like, I operated this radar as my job. And I'm like, okay, but the military didn't just give you the radar when you leave and exit. So I was like,
You find out he's like a war criminal, Doc
how
Brown.
did you,
I stole this
how
from
did
the
you get hold of
military.
these little mini ones? Or anyway,
Yeah.
well, I'm saying there's obviously some plot holes going on, right? Okay, but it was
Yeah.
entertaining. It was entertaining.
But we need a reason for our hero to be drawn to Glen Powell.
Yeah.
And this gives us reason to be like, fuck Javi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it served that purpose for the narrative, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't need a reason to be on Glen Powell's team. I would have.
I was about to say, man, I don't white t-shirt and cowboy hat in the rain.
Dude, the
I
slow,
just went from 6 to midnight.
I'm not even from here, but I've lived here long enough that I know how people are in the rain here. If rain starts falling here, people run inside because they don't know what to do because it's touching their skin. Glen Powell's slow, cool walk in the downpour. Not happening, dude. Serve the purpose, right?
I don't know. Oklahoma's another country,
I
man.
guess,
I don't know, man.
He is a handsome son of a bitch.
He's a handsome son of a bitch.
I have something to say about the wet white t-shirt. Do you want to save it or...
Why
would
say
you
that? Definitely say that now.
It's already midnight in here. Go ahead.
We're all
Fill us in,
sexualizing
fill
Glen
us
Powell
in.
right now.
Yeah,
You might as well
absolutely.
just jump in.
The director wanted to cut that scene.
Everyone watching
And
this.
the editing team was going to fucking riot.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you have to
That would've
keep
been me and
this.
Jason. We were
And,
like, shut the fuck
I mean, we were talking about seeing this in IMAX because of that scene
There was,
in the trailer.
there was a noticeable rise in humidity in the movie theater last
Jesus.
night. Whenever
Yes,
that
Sarah,
happened.
literally, verbally, she goes, "Oh," or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, man, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it."
Yeah.
The dew point went up 3 points.
Yeah.
In that
I was
moment.
like, calm down, dude. To myself. I said that to myself.
Kate
So, yeah, so I
I love them in
McConaughey.
Top Gun.
So I don't know. I love him in Top Gun
love
as
him in
well.
everything,
I don't
dude.
know if this director, and we're gonna talk about the director later.
I literally
If he had
said,
a good handle
what
on
did I
this-
say earlier? I go,
well,
"Who's?"
when it says at the very end of the movie, it says directed by such and such. It was like, who's that?
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
So that first scene, I didn't feel anything for that friends that died. When they opened up with them, I know these people aren't on the poster. They're not in the trailer. I mean, they're basically red shirts. So I was like, the whole movie's about the trauma of her losing them, but I don't care about them.
That was one of my biggest complaints about this whole thing is the secondary characters and all the other supporting characters. I didn't care about them at all. I mean, whereas the original Twister, you had very known actors. You had Philip Seymour Hoffman. You had Cameron from freaking Ferris
Alan Ruck?
Bueller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Dude.
you had all these other great guys. Jamie Gertz was in
Yeah.
it.
They even make you care about her mom.
Yeah.
Her mom's in it for 5 minutes
Yeah.
at breakfast.
Yeah.
And you're invested in her. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got her and Aunt Meg from the original Twister.
Right, yeah.
Which one you taking? It's
Yeah.
Aunt Meg all day long.
Yeah,
She-
yeah.
And
She slaughtered her own cows and made fucking steel.
I knew from
Whatever.
the opening, from the beginning, things were just going a little too well, right? Like her lover's there, just like, oh, I'm hungover. Oh, get up, guys. We're in college and we're doing it. And then like, I was like, oh, any minute they're all dead, right? They're all going to fucking die, right?
Godzilla.
And they, spoiler, they did, but what I would say what I think is a little bit different from Twister versus this one is all of the main people, Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, they're like the quote unquote the good guys, and then you had the opposite weather guy. In this movie, Glen Powell, who I would argue is the kind of the star of the movie,
Yeah.
he's actually on the he's the bad quote unquote the bad. He's not a bad guy, but like at the beginning
He's
They
the
flipped it on
opposition.
its-
He's the
yeah.
opposition,
Right,
right?
yeah.
They Game of Thrones your ass.
They kind of flipped the script a little bit on that, or maybe not intentionally. But I'm like, I'm more invested in this dude over here than the quote unquote good guys or
Well,
whatever.
they made it sound like he was like superfluous to the chase area, to where he was like just the parasite who's latching on to whatever the storm chasing is going on, and the real scientists and the real everybody have to dodge around him.
Yeah.
And where well, I guess that is true, but he ended up being the better person in the end. Just basically how everything developed and everything came out.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Daisy Jones a lot. She's only done a couple things. I was telling Scotty there was a thing that I would not have watched. I don't remember how we found it. My girlfriend was like, "Hey, this looks good." I'm like, "Let me see the trailer," because it was like a romantic drama
They
thing.
only got 7.5.
Yeah,
on
no, it's
IMDb,
called
and,
Normal
I'm not gonna
People.
watch it.
It's called Normal People, and it's got an 8.4 on IMDb. It's really, really good.
Can you tell we work together?
And if you want to see her, like act, that's a really good. And we were talking about like her personality. Like when you watch the press junket for this, she's like hilarious. She knows a lot about movies. She really cares. Like she kicks all their ass in like movie trivia and stuff.
She's got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
A little feisty, and it's like, why wasn't this person?
I
Why
didn't
isn't this
see-
person in this
yeah,
movie?
I didn't
Why isn't
see
she like
any
more of a
of the
badass?
Yeah,
She's a nerd.
Yeah, not at
Just
all.
like
Go
sad
back
and
to
like
MIT.
she can do sad. That Normal People show.
Her
She's sad.
Muskogee State is what they called
think we
it.
could've
I want her to be like Ripley and be like, just wake up from the nightmare and like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
We're going to destroy them. Like,
There wasn't a lot
Every
of
time I
depth.
see anything, I'm like, I
will
want her
say
to be like
for,
Ripley.
like in her, they're okay. So like we've already covered like, oh, Glen Powell, he's a hot or whatever. Okay, great. She did kind of reject him / kind of, I don't know if you call it flirting or whatever. She wasn't immediately like, oh, Glen Powell's trying to hit me up,
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, maybe we'll see, or or maybe in the future, that type of, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She wasn't just like, oh, my panties dropped because Glen Powell's here. She like kind of gave it back to him a little bit.
Yeah.
She
So, like,
negged him a little bit.
I
you
understand
know.
what y'all are saying about like where was this other person in other movies we've seen or whatever, but I think she did okay.
She did fine. I mean, I think people get that mixed up if they're not like into movies, right? Like you're watching what the director wanted to
Yeah,
do,
sure.
not necessarily
Yeah.
what the actors
Whatever
signed up
his
for,
name is.
right? Yeah, whatever his name is.
his
Which, by
name
the
is
way,
Lee Isaac Chung.
sure.
Yeah,
And
that guy.
So some stuff that we were talking about, he's done. The only thing you've seen that he's done is one episode of The Mandalorian. I don't even know which season, so that.
Probably.
He had like an
Probably.
art house flick. Like
He did
4
Minari.
years ago.
He
that
did
had
Minari,
Stephen Yeun in it,
and like I
think.
wanted to. I would have seen that movie if it was in the theater. Like I think it came out in early 21 maybe, or maybe even 2020.
Menard. I didn't see-
Minari.
Oh.
Menard sounds like someone's taking a shit.
Yeah, I thought. I thought it was like
Menards.
So Minari, like this,
MacGuffin?
but I saw this on all the streamers now. But like, you know what? Like at 9 o'clock at night when I'm trying to watch something before bed, I'm not gonna crank up Minari. There's YouTube, or they're like movies I've seen a million times, or something fun. Like so, it's something that if it was in the theater and it was like the Oscar press tour, no doubt I would have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But like it on TV and all the other distractions you got at home, like I just don't lock in.
Yeah, I felt like they could have handed that off to somebody better equipped. Somebody that's like, because there's some director out there for no reason. Like recently, they did an interview with Christopher Nolan, and out of nowhere, he's just like, I love the Fast and Furious franchise. Like people wouldn't think that about me, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like why? But also, right, because it's fun, right? Yeah, exactly. There's somebody
Come on,
with
James.
some skills. Not that this guy didn't have skills. Who was like a huge Twister fan, and I don't know, but like it didn't line up to get him to direct the movie. I just felt like, and I found out also that he didn't get to finish it he got like there was like a medical thing, like exhaustion or something, and he had to kind of tap out towards the end, and they had to bring in another director, from what I read.
I read
So
that
maybe
too.
that contributed. To
Did it feel
the feeling.
disjointed?
It did
The
to
whole
me.
thing
The whole thing
felt
did.
disjointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the characters were extremely flimsy. The story, in and of itself, was fucking ludicrous. I mean, are we really going to extinguish a tornado with thousands of dollars worth of barrels of
Which just happened to be in the
powdered
barn
chemical?
for
Of-
5
So
years.
we have to intercept this shit and then go into the twister and then
The drill down into this.
No, that's awesome.
pop the lids off the barrels.
With explosives. By
Yeah.
the way.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
Anyway, so that wasn't it for me, right? Like to me, that's like a that's our purpose, right? We're trying to like the science or whatever. However crazy. That
Are we
is.
going to have
For
tornado
me,
busters? Is that what we're going to do now?
What it was for me, where I was just like, guys, this is just,
The drum.
at some point I'm laughing. Nah, that was even.
Oh.
It was towards the end, and they're like, it's when
dude.
Ramos's character, we got to help the people. And I go, okay, so 4 or 5 of y'all are going into some random ass town in Oklahoma and being like, everybody, get to the back of the theater and get to a show. I'm like, you live in fucking Oklahoma. You're either
Yes.
prepared or you're not.
Yes.
4 or 5 of y'all are not going to change the outcome
In a town you don't
of a
live in.
giant tornado coming
that
towards
really,
y'all or whatever. It was
especially as a native
ridiculous.
Oklahoman,
I think that's the-
pissed me off.
we got to stop getting data and help the people. It's like, bro, what?
Here's the data. I did some research on this myself. Whenever it comes to the deadliest tornadoes in United States history, the top 25 of them are all 90 years and older. There's only one in the last 90 years that would make
1979, which softballs?
no. 2011 Joplin, Missouri.
Joplin was wild.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was an
was
F5
bad.
tornado. There was a lot of things going on there. It was dark. There was no visibility. Joplin's really densely populated and packed. So whenever they have the narrative, and they did this in the last Twister too, they had no warning. My fucking ass. I mean, we're talking that everything has technologically come
Not-
so far, and this
Not-
is such a Hollywood premise that, oh God, they had no idea.
Not as smart-
Massive things coming.
Not as smart as Kate, the tornado wizard.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, as
She
long-
knows where it's
she's
going,
got her
bro.
dandelions.
She's
and
got dandelions
the wind
out there.
direction
She's
of the
so
wheat
pretty.
fields, baby. That's all she needs.
That guy in New York was like, I'll call it in.
Yeah.
Kate, you look at this.
Yeah, let me get Kate.
The psychotropic, whatever.
Yeah.
whatever.
She's like,
no good
she's
here,
like,
guys.
It's gonna,
It's gonna dissipate. Yeah.
I saw the weeds.
It's gonna
go
go
left.
away.
Whatever.
Anyway.
The nuke on top of it. That's what it is. Like
It's
what?
like the Fast and Furious for natural disasters.
Right.
It's so bad, it's good.
It's-
I would watch this movie.
Was that
again
not
and again.
2012 though?
I didn't watch 2012.
You didn't watch 2012?
I heard it was real bad.
Oh, it
real
was.
bad.
It nukes this one from orbit.
I
dude.
read.
It was
I read
this
Paxton
one's horrible. Too.
wanted to make
R.I.P.
some tornado stuff. One of them was with Cameron, but one of them he wanted to do was about because you were talking about deadly tornadoes, but one of them, I guess, in 1925, there were
That was
there
the
was a
deadliest
string
one
of
in
tornadoes.
United States
750 people it killed.
Yeah, it went over 3 states.
Like, geez. Anyway, ultimately, I think that's what it is, right? Anytime in any movie or any show or whatever, you get somebody at the helm that isn't. And I know the dude that directed it is from Texas, like grew up in Texas
Arkansas.
or something. Arkansas. Okay. And Arkansas and Missouri, they get their fair share of naders.
sure.
But it'd be like somebody that's not into cars or doesn't know anything about cars directing a Fast and Furious movie. It's going to feel disjointed. And I think ultimately at the end of Twisters, what you're left with feeling is that all these little details, like them going into town and directing traffic for people that already live in town and are used to this kind of weather and know exactly what to do in that situation.
They're more weather aware than everybody else.
Right.
I mean, you got these storm chasers.
Yep.
And then they're at a freaking rodeo in the middle of the night, and then get ambushed by a tornado out of nowhere.
Ninja tornadoes.
Really?
I would go to that movie. It's
Yeah.
a specific. It's a specific.
Sharknado, bro.
Yeah,
I want the alligator from Bad Boys 4 to be in this tornado.
that would
Didn't
be
see
cool.
it.
That
Didn't
would
see
be
it.
cool. It was good.
Didn't see it.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Like Bill Paxton, before he passed, had like a pitch for like a
R.I.P.
sequel. And this was his pitch. He said, I've always felt there was a Jaws version of that movie. I always felt like we did the Pepsi Light version of that movie. There's a tougher version of that movie. And I think now I've kind of designed it so that me and Helen would have a daughter a junior in high school and she's dating a guy in college, and we hand it off to them. I mean, I love that. I love that pitch, and I wish that this movie had a little bit more thriller in it. Like when that woman says, "Tornado warnings are usually fake." I want her sucked through the window.
Right.
You know,
that was Paxton's kid, by the way.
Yeah.
The guy who was like, "I'm going to give you a bad review."
Yeah, that was Paxton's kid.
I didn't
He's
know-
getting
I didn't
sucked
know that.
out of his
So-
truck and everything.
One of the, we left or whatever. One of Sarah's deals was why wasn't Helen Hunt in this movie, or why wasn't it her kid or Bill Paxton's character's kid, or some sort of
It would have been so easy.
anything
sort of connection.
connected at all.
One line. You don't even have to have.
Even if you can't get
right.
her,
Not even like
Photoshop
right.
a photo together and they're both dead, and that's what drives her. Anything
Right, something on there.
other than Dorothy in the back of the truck for
the
no.
only recurring
Dorothy was the
character
only.
Dorothy.
and they don't explain it anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad we could get together to shit on this movie.
Well, I mean, we're not. I'm not shitting on it.
I mean, we're just looking at like other things they could have done and other pitches over the years.
Right, yeah.
And this movie did cost like $180 million to make.
Can you imagine a James Cameron tornado movie?
So
If you're James,
Mother
Jim
of
Cameron,
God.
Jim, I call him Jim.
since you don't personally know,
What I read was that Paxton approached them. They were going to do it, and they started. Of course, he started going this weird like Titanic oceanography route with it, and wanted to do all this like high tech like filmmaking stuff with it. And the project was like loosely under Twister 3D or something like that. Yeah, it would have been
That would have been amazing.
shit insane.
That and Cameron's ability to tell a story.
Yeah, it would have been awesome.
He has one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is, we completely missed the point in this sequel for sure. If you can even call it a sequel, since there's no recurring character except for Dorothy 5 for whatever reason. But it missed the mark. I understand from a summer blockbuster family
Scathing,
movie,
scathing.
Dude, it was. There's no basements in Oklahoma. None. There's no basements here. I mean, the water table's too
Why
damn
not?
high.
People don't know that.
Everybody-
Tell them. Yeah.
I got storm cellar in my house.
No.
We should get it on film.
Inside, but yeah, we
It's
should.
real shitty, right?
I'd love to see the couch now.
Yeah.
Storm cellar is one thing. Basement is another.
Yeah,
and
nobody
everyone
has
was talking
them.
about
Right,
basements.
right. You're right.
You know, and the storm cellars here in this area are still notorious for flooding.
Yeah, they
You
can't.
know, and they can sweat through the walls and all that other stuff.
soil moves too much, it breaks.
And everyone was like, "Oh, we gotta get them to the basement. We gotta go. There's no basements.
Luckily, there's an
There's
empty
no basement.
pool.
There's not. There's not.
Does the empty pool work?
Apparently, you watched the same thing I did.
Did her
Empty
intuition lead her to know that there was
No.
a busted wall where she could hold on to pipes in
No.
the middle of this
Oh.
swimming pool?
So
That's the
that
only way
happened
they
as
survived.
well.
So
yeah.
initially they're like, "Oh, empty pool, let's go," and I was like, "That makes sense to me. It's low, right?"
Right.
They get to the pool. Now we're in that part. There's just random ass like 1920s pipes and shit. And I was
Yeah.
like, I looked at Sarah and I was like, "What pool do you know has random pipes?" Just like
There's
like
a
you're just
hole.
holding on to them.
a
Like,
hole
what?
in
It's like the
deep
swim
end.
down there.
Man, now that you're saying up, man,
why there's no
maybe
water in there.
maybe this is kind of a shitty movie.
It was a shitty. I mean, it was a shitty movie.
It was entertaining though. I said at the beginning, I
Here's-
stand by. It was
I think.
entertaining.
I think. So everyone. It's kind of a joke.
Pop a gummy, grab some popcorn, strap in, let's go. I
Yeah,
mean,
The drone was another thing. Where
know-
they're like, "Can you hook up data gathering capabilities to the drone that you've used for YouTube?"
like,
And I'm
"I
like,
could do
first of
that."
all, in our job, we fly a drone or whatever, or I did. Eric did. No, it's not getting even close to a
Yeah.
tornado. It's going crashing immediately. It can't.
It
If
gets
the
sucked
weather,
into it
if the
immediately.
wind's beyond 15 miles an hour, it's not flying.
That was
No.
another thing for me. Like, I don't know. It would be like a truck would get sucked up from like me to the camera, right? Very close. But like a person's okay.
That
depending
happened
on
under the overpass in the very first freaking scene.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude on top of her got sucked off, but
Oh,
let's rephrase here.
Jesus.
The guy
That's
on
that
top
scene
got
in-
sucked off.
That's
you
that,
know?
that's that scene in
But-
Date Night where Carell's like, or Faye's like, I think we're going to get whacked off. And he's like, that's not what they're saying.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Anywho, all right, the guy on top got sucked out by the tornado, and she was just fine. She didn't even get her, pants
Yeah.
ruffled,
Yeah,
But it was succinctly brought to
Onion.
summed up last night whenever we were leaving. My daughter was in the car with me, and I was bitching about it, and she quoted, "Good thing it's just a movie, huh?" And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I mean, it's just true. I mean, you have all the realism in the world that went out the damn window with this thing. But it's still a summer movie. It's supposed to put butts in the seats, supposed to put popcorn in the mouth,
Which it
supposed
did.
to bring out the family, have fun.
Just like Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
But that was a
I
different
like
thing.
Top Gun
Fuck,
Maverick.
good movie.
That was a
Good
different
fucking
movie.
movie.
Dude, it was
Original
great.
Top Gun
fucking
is
good.
too. It's a good ass movie.
That was a badass sequel. This one, you know.
Yeah.
Did everybody's wife, partner, girlfriend, whatever, when they my girlfriend liked it. Like, it was us arguing in the car on the way home
Yeah.
about her being like, I thought it was good and here's why, and me being like,
we
So-
My
we-
wife and daughter was the same way.
we both
They
thought
were-
it was. Sarah and I both thought it was good, and I do.
here's my prediction.
Insert.
Because I think, IMDb, people get mad at me.
Yeah,
know
I definitely
Scotty's on
do.
IMDb a
Bo
lot.
does too.
A lot of people don't they don't check a score before they watch a movie. I think that's insane. Right now,
not insane.
my prediction is right now the movie's setting at a 7.1, and that's because everyone's going to see it. They don't.
It
there's
just
not a lot of
opened,
options, whatever.
right? Sure.
Yeah.
Twisters IMDb lands 6.2 is my prediction. 5.8, maybe 5.8, 6.2.
That's how tall you
It's
are?
where
It's gone
Twisters
down since
a year
opening
from
for
now.
sure.
Twisters is right.
How tall are you?
5.8.
You should have some Olympic like scorecards, like the 5, 8,
5.8.
8.
Yeah.
I'll give it a solid 48 on the Metascore.
Let's
Is
see.
what I'll give it.
I've got some people remix the ingredients who could have been in this movie.
Oh, dude, this is my favorite part. This is my
Okay.
favorite part.
Everybody.
This is
Not Glen Powell, man.
Well,
no, all right, Glen
all right.
Powell staying.
All right.
well, let me see. I got two people who could have been in this instead of Glen Powell.
All right.
Okay.
We're
Let's-
recasting
let's
Glenn
hear
and
'em.
Daisy, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's-
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care about Anthony Ramos.
Josh Gad would have been good as him. I would have believed that more.
Okay. Well, Austin Butler.
Yeah.
As who?
Glenn
As
Powell's
Glenn-
character.
as Glenn-
Oh, so we're talking about Glen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
I'm talking
it.
about Glen Powell.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Austin Butler. Eben Moss Backrack. Backrack.
Who?
Eben Moss Backrack from The Bear.
Oh.
Sid?
No, that's
Eben Moss Backrack
Oh, you mean
is
for them? Okay.
is
I don't know.
Richie.
Richie.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
he's Richie from The Bear.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
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 Does
No
he wear a
comment.
suit?
Yeah,
Does he
sure.
wear suits the whole
No
time?
comment.
I think he would have done really good.
So
in
I
it.
mean, I was
He-
like, what young or do kind of young up
Sure.
and coming actors we have that could probably be in this movie and work. And then instead of Daisy Edgar Jones,
he wouldn't have raised the humidity in the theater any of that night though in a white shirt.
I think
That's for
Austin
sure.
Butler does though.
You think so?
Austin Butler definitely
Oh,
does.
But
yeah,
Yeah.
people. Not-
Austin Butler, very like fantastic, right? Like saw the Elvis movie. From what I hear, Bikers is good or whatever. Hadn't seen anything. I'm not dogging on Austin Butler. Glen Powell has that. We started up. Can you feel it? I don't know if Austin
Yeah.
Butler can bring that, man.
Maybe you're right.
And also the fact that does it really matter that Glen Powell's from Austin or not?
I think it does
I think
matter.
it does, man.
Yeah.
Same with McConaughey. Same with Bill Paxton in the original or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know if
think
that's
it does
replaceable
matter.
for
Yeah,
me.
maybe.
Paxton didn't bring any sex appeal to it whatsoever, though. I mean, and Twister, I don't. The original didn't have any like sex appeal
That's
to
why
it.
Paxton was cool.
And
He wasn't
and
even handsome.
Very
even though
confident.
they definitely tried to do that. They tried to like
Bill Murray.
sex it up a little bit with the shower scene with Helen Hunt, which I still think was ridiculous. You know, it was completely unnecessary.
Speak for yourself.
And hey, you know, but they tried and they swung for the fences
Yeah.
and yeah, not so much. This one, Glen Powell's like
It's hard to
instant
impress
sex
Joel
appeal,
over
you
here.
know?
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to
But-
impress Joel.
All right, who else instead of
Okay.
Daisy?
Riley Keough. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well then,
Oh, that's
tell
the
me.
guy from.
it's a woman.
Really?
It's hard. It's
Who's Riley?
2024, man.
Who's Riley, dude?
It could be
She's
either
in-
or. It could
she's
be
in-
either or.
Are we assuming things here?
She's in Logan Lucky. She's in some other stuff. Also, I thought maybe Margaret Qualley.
None of these kids for me.
This guy's doing a deep dive.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
No, I don't-
lots of slow country songs in this movie.
The-
Couple. I thought they did
I was
okay.
super excited hearing about the soundtrack because it was talked about prior to it being released, and then it got released, and I was like, man, they're gonna have some good stuff on here, and mainly it's country with the O removed in it for the most part, you know.
What does that mean?
Country?
All right, take the word country, take the word O out.
Boy,
And
Joel.
then there you go.
Joel
That's
just
what
scathing,
I'll-
dude.
I'll-
Scathing,
It
man.
was, I mean, if you
He's getting them, dude.
I don't know if you can say that.
all right, then
Not-
we can take it
We
out.
just did.
Hey, if you want to win an argument,
But
you should.
The
don't say it.
soundtrack was mainly Nashville country, and,
Okay.
and there's two different factions whenever it comes to country music. There's
Yeah.
Americana, and then there's Nashville country.
Yeah.
And then, but the soundtrack is primarily
There's
Nashville
also Texas
country.
independent music.
There is,
Not
and
to bring up
that's thrown in
Oklahoma shit.
Americana.
Not to
That's
bring up
thrown in
bullshit.
Americana.
Not to bring up
Whenever it's
bullshit.
on the Billboard charts, it's Americana, all of it. If they're going to chart anywhere, it's not going to be country because Nashville won't let them. But the Americana part of it is you had some of it in the soundtrack, like you had Tyler Childers in there. Red Clay Strays was on there. Flatland Cavalry was
Fantastic.
on there. Leon Bridges was on that, which I thought was cool.
Fantastic.
And Charlie Crockett was on it, who, if you want to talk about Texas country, I mean, Charlie Crockett is Texas country right now. I mean, he's huge. Everything else, I mean, you had Jelly Roll, Luke Combs, and guys like that. And it's kind of like,
It's a little too mainstream for you, Joel.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, take the O out of country.
Could have been worse. It
That's
could have been
what
I
like,
don't know how you guys
everybody
feel
in
when
the
I brought
bar
up Margaret
getting
Qualley. I have no
tipsy.
idea who these people are.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
I like
that
to
song.
keep it real when it comes to the musics, but
I get it. I hear
yeah,
you.
Some country
and-
music's awesome, but I don't.
I think part of that too is like, what you know, again, overarching, right? Broad. It's a summer blockbuster, right? It has to appeal to a lot of people, right?
For
We're
sure.
talking about all regions, right? Not just Oklahoma, not just Texas. We happen to be in Texas,
Oh, absolutely.
so there are, I think, some like they have to give a little bit to help appeal to, you know, whatever a generic. Where's Bo at right now? That your generic average user or whatever it is.
They're not appealing to the flyover states, and they made that.
Whereas
by
if
the
they
way
really
depicted
dialed in and
Oklahoma
were like, we
people.
only want people from Texas and Oklahoma to watch us, and you know, I don't know what type of that could have been a completely different movie,
Yeah.
man. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
remix the ingredients.
They
I don't know,
they did have one of those moments, especially if you're an Oklahoma fan.
I'm not.
because I know that, but
I'm joking.
they had like the bar owner dressed in head to toe OU, and then the town that got flattened after the rodeo was Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is Oklahoma State, where Oklahoma State's at. And if you're a Sooner, then that just made you smile the whole way, because it was. I mean, yeah, the guy in OU gear, Stillwater gets flattened, everybody wins.
To me,
You know, that's the really only nod I think they gave to Oklahoma. Period.
To me, when you're gonna make a movie though that's so specific, I think it's a safer, better, smarter choice to, like, hey, North Texas and Oklahoma's gonna go see this movie probably because they deal with this shit all the time. You might pull some Arkansas, Missouri in here. We're not gonna get a lot of folks from LA,
Sure.
New York watching this movie. Even if she lives in New York,
They'll be
we're
the
not gonna
ones
get a lot.
believing it, though.
Right, but if you get everybody from Oklahoma to go see it, and no one from California does, you still did all right for your bottom line.
it's kind of where it's like King of the Hills, like that. Right?
Yeah.
Like on the outside looking in, yeah, I'm sure it's hilarious or whatever to somebody else somewhere in the country, but like it's really extra, really funny to me because I live that every single day. Actually, we walked. It doesn't matter. The irony. and
I
so on
can't
and so
think of
forth.
anybody that I would cast instead of Glen Powell. Seriously.
Same.
Not ju-
For
like,
this
it-
one.
I
For this
think
one.
it doesn't work with him not
Same.
in it.
with this script, the way it went, they needed Glen Powell because he really, you know, you can say from like a character standpoint, he didn't carry it, and I don't think he did at all. But from an entertainment standpoint and from like a charisma standpoint,
the
he was
energy, the
the
energy.
glue,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was the glue that held the whole thing together.
Same.
Even though, as I agree with Ben, his character fell apart. Toward
Well, they
the end.
and they wouldn't let him.
I agree. I agree.
The
with
director
that.
wouldn't let him. They kept like pointing it back at Wizard Tornado Girl.
Yeah.
And it like
Right,
it's
yeah.
the movie's a much more
Yeah.
interesting movie to follow him around and and she become that's what Twister was. Like Helen Hunt's character was great, but the movie wasn't focused on her. She became a part of that in a way. Like this one was convoluted in that you're kind of focusing on Kate, but she's not the one that's like, I don't know. It was just kind of busted. And as far as recasting someone for her, I mean, I don't want to be mean because I do like her, but I think anybody, just somebody that was, I think anybody that was bubbly. Like Sydney Sweeney right now is like really great
Oh,
and
boy.
young, and she's in
Oh,
everything.
wow, yeah.
But
Should
she
we get
can be.
a shower scene with her? I think that would have really drove everything. I mean, take Helen Hunt out, throw in Sydney Sweeney, you know, shower scene. We're
I
good to
think-
go.
Yeah,
You know.
they did that. Her and Glenn already did that movie together. That and it wasn't great, but they had good chemistry. I think she works as like the funny country girl that, you know, is also super smart, and she's trying to get over her demons. I don't know. Maybe not.
Doggy bag, what are you taking in from Twisters?
This guy's like, I said 2 words. This whole...
Well, it was, of all the tornado movies that are out there, this was definitely one of them. That's what I'm taking away from it. It was a fun popcorn summer flick.
Yeah.
Check the realism at the door. You won't need it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Grab your one hitter and gummies. Go have fun. You know, that's about it. That's my takeaway.
Slightly more optimistic than Joel, I think. I share the same sentiment, though. Look, man, I said it I opened it at the beginning, right? Was I entertained at the end of it? Yes, I was. Have an open mind. Don't get caught up on the, that wouldn't happen, or this is ridiculous, or whatever. That's part of it, you know. And there's other movies and there's other shows and things out there that are like, if you're willing to overlook some of those things, you'll have a really good time, man. And just be able to relax and not be stressed out because you're watching The Bear season 3. I'm just
Good thing
joking.
it's just a movie, huh?
I think it. I know I end up sounding snobby in that when I say this. Like you're like, grab your one hitter and gummies, and like,
Pretty typical.
It's a good thing to be entertained. I can't even submit to that because there's better choices. There's the only thing I would rather do outside of go to a concert. Like I'm kind of a hermit, right? I stay at my house, but I will go to the movies over and over again, and I'll go see concerts. I love going to the movies. That's the best thing about what happened last night. We all went to the movies together, and that was awesome. And yeah,
Until you left your wallet and your sunglasses inside.
I went twice in the same night. But I will never see that movie again. I can almost guarantee it.
I'm watching it again. I'll watch it again.
I like that this movie wasn't 3 hours.
Oh,
I was like,
Total power. It's
Yeah.
bro, Sarah.
It was a tight 100, man. I mean, that's really all you need.
I'd left to go get a Powerade, thinking that this movie probably had another hour to it. And like I came back in with a medium Powerade, and we're in the climax of the film. Like I was like, oh.
Dude, he got up. I was like, oh, this guy's got to pee or whatever. He comes back with like a drink, and I was like, bro, we done. You know what I mean? Like, even I knew that. I was like,
that's how I knew the movie wasn't great. I've never seen you
It's
get
an
up
hour
in
and
a
a half.
movie ever.
It's an hour and a half long.
How long is Dune 2? Like 6 hours? You didn't move from your seat, dude.
Well.
You drank 3 sodas. Like, you didn't move. Twisters are like, fucking, there's probably an hour left. I'll be back.
And I don't want Glen Powell wasting his prime doing
Agreed.
2 or 3 more Twister movies.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to be like, you know, when these actors would get in Star Wars and then we lose them for 10 years.
Daisy either,
You know?
by the way. I think she's really good. This is not it, though, girl.
In some of the post-credit scenes, I was kind of like waiting for something to
Oh,
come up,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I don't know if the MCU has kind of like killed us on all the post-credit stuff, and I know we didn't stay through the whole thing, but you kind of, you know, put some stock into it, and I was kind of hoping that there wasn't like here's another storm cell coming, boys, you know, and just something like I don't know. They don't need to do it. It's not necessary
Yeah,
to keep
just let
this
this-
franchise going.
Let this be done.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep it going, bring on some new guys.
The good news is we have Deadpool in a week or something.
we got.
Let's have
Deadpool.
Wolverine kill a tornado.
Yeah, that'll work. I would
would go
believe
see that movie.
Wolverine could kill a tornado. That would be wonderful.
Do we have a top 5 list?
What's that again? I didn't understand the context.
Top
on that.
5
I was
storm.
at a children's birthday party. I was
Top 5 storm movies? What are we doing?
Top 5 like songs about like a storm or weather?
Weather.
Riders of the Storm, The Doors.
No, that Garth Brooks song
Thunder
where
Rolls.
he humps the old lady.
That summer.
That summer.
Yeah. That was not where I decided to go with that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where I'll go with that.
That's exactly what
where I'll go
happened.
with
That
it
was a
every time.
Mrs. Robinson kind of thing going
It was-
on
dude.
in that song for sure.
That song's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her hands of leather turned to velvet in a touch. You know.
That's my favorite storm song.
Is that even a storm song?
Yeah, I
think
mean,
you're
he says
thinking about-
something about
You're thinking about
I think
Thunder
the-
Rolls.
I think the storm can be a
lightning,
metaphor.
chase the thunder.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. I didn't come up with any of that. But
Did you come up with songs?
I did.
What are your
Yeah,
songs?
here's my top 5. It would be The Rain Song by Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
And that one's a special one for me because I got to play that for my sister whenever she came down the aisle to that song. She didn't
Oh,
come
wow.
down, so I got to play The Rain Song for my sister during her wedding. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Storm Windows by John Prine, because if I'm going to, do anything, it's going to be propping up John Prine because he was freaking amazing. Ride the Lightning by Metallica, which I know is just lightning
call.
in name only
Good-
because
well,
it's
it-
about an execution from the
it
electric
counts.
chair.
Well, I didn't-
But hey, we got lightning in there. The Hurricane by Bob Dylan.
Hey,
Okay.
there you go.
Oh, that's
Man,
good.
that's a good
Good.
one.
That's
good.
it's not. We all know what that's about. It's not about weather, but the Hurricane is still great. It's a great fucking song. And then this one's actually from the Twister soundtrack, and it's called "Touchdown" by Flatland Cavalry. I will definitely recommend anyone to listen to that one. It's really cool the way they did it because they used a lot of. They were basically describing a tornado, but they were also describing a vengeful woman at the same time. And it was really cool the way they did it. And it was one of the highlights of a completely crap soundtrack.
I got a top 5. You want to hear
You
my
had to
top
add
5?
in the last part. man.
Oh, what?
Yeah. You made a top 5.
You
I made
top
I made a top 5.
Do it. Do it.
Storm Coming by Gnarls Barkley.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah.
Electrical Storm by U2.
There we go.
Winds of Change by Scorpions. Ride the Wind by Poison. It's my list.
Pretty good list.
That'll work. Winds of Change is always a good one.
All right. Well, thank you, Joel and James and Ben, for being on the show. Thank you for Ben. This is our new studio.
It looks awesome in here.
Yeah,
It
it
looks
is.
great. If you like this episode, please subscribe on YouTube Station or wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Feel free to send comments or feedback to macandcheesemovies@gmail.com. You don't face your fears, you ride them. Mac and cheese out.
And be nice in the comments, please.